Welcome to the ET302 how-to video for the Op-Amp Lab. Here we are at Multisim, and the first thing we need to do is download our zip file from Canvas and unzip them so we get to the files. Or if you're using VMware, the files should be on our instructor files. So let's go ahead and open up our first file. Okay, here's our first file, and it is a inverting amplifier because our signal goes into the inverting side, which is the minus. Here's our feedback circuit. So our gain should be 100 divided by 10, so our gain should be about 10. And this is a DC input, 0.1 volts. So let's go ahead and start it. And here we have minus 981 millivolts, which is pretty close to 1000 millivolts, which is 10 times our 0.1 volt input. And because it's an inverting amplifier, it's going to be minus. Okay, so let's turn off our simulation and open up our next lab file. Okay, and here we have our op-amp circuit with an AC signal in. It's also a inverting amplifier because it's going into the inverting side. We have a sine wave of 0.1 volts peak. Okay, here's our oscilloscope. Again, we have a gain of 10, 100 divided by 10. And let's open up our scope. And let's start. And let's go ahead and make sure that we have the same scale, and we do. So green would be our input and red would be our output. So let's use our cursors. Okay, so we have, if we look at our cursors here, we have 0.2 volts, millivolts in peak to peak. So our peak is just going to be the 1, but peak to peak so twice. Okay, and our peak to peak on the other one is 2 volts. So with our 0.2 times 10, we're going to get 0.198 volts out. So it's looking good. And you notice here this is an inverting amplifier, so our signal is going to be inverted. So here's our peak that way, and our other peak, it would be a minus. So they're inverted. Okay, so let's shut down our simulation and open up our next file. And let's go here to C. And here we have a non-inverting op-amp because here we have our input voltage and it's going into the non-inverting side. Okay, we have our feedback resistors. So 100 divided by 10 plus 1 is going to give us a gain of 11. So we have 0.1 in. Let's start it. And so we have DC, so we have 0.1 and we have 1.1 volts out. So that's 11 gain. And this is a non-inverting, so our output is going to be plus because our input is plus. They're going to be in phase. Okay, so let's shut down our simulation and open up our last file. Okay, so let's zoom in on this. This is going to be a non-inverting amplifier because our signal, our AC signal, is going into the non-inverting. Again, we have 10. Gain of 10 plus 1 would be 11. And let's start it. And let's go ahead and check our voltages with our cursors. So we have 0.1 peak, which is going to be 0.2 peak to peak. And our output is a gain of 11, 2.2. Perfect. So